Mavis was quite an extraordinary woman. She was an activist really from her early years, and she did a lot of work in campaigning for the rights of women and also for peace and disarmament in Australia. I first met Mavis in the early days of industry superannuation when I was a woman in my early 20s, and Mavis was a pretty formidable person to deal with. But she was always very encouraging of young women in the industry, which was fantastic for me. And we did form a really beautiful friendship and mentoring relationship. And one day Mavis went on a study trip to the US, and while she was there she saw an event where women were walking or running for breast cancer research. And so she came back and she suggested to me that we ought to run a similar event in Australia. Now when I say Mavis suggested that to me, suggested is not really a word that one associates with Mavis. Mavis was pretty persuasive and she didn't easily take no for an answer. But as it turned out, Mavis, as usual, was right. And it was an event that translated beautifully to the Australian environment, and it's been a huge success, raised over $30 million for breast cancer research, and also provided a place for many, many people on Mother's Day to spend the day in a really positive and constructive way on what would otherwise, as I know from my own experience, have been a pretty empty day.
Mavis Robertson, to me, she was my grandma, who also liked to be referred as grandmama. She was a wonderful woman. She taught me many great values and inspired me, and a lot of her core beliefs are now is something that she reflected to me. I always knew that she did many amazing things, but it wasn't until she passed away that I really found the whole picture with her. And I think that's because when she came and stayed with us up in Sydney, or if I came down here to see her, you know, I was her granddaughter and she's my grandma, and you know, we just had that relationship. Many people quickly learnt that saying no to Mavis kind of came with consequences. Lucky for me, being her granddaughter, we had a really non-business type of relationship. So there was a lot of give and take between us. Moving to Melbourne and living in Mavis's apartment, you know, it's a lot of mixed emotions. It is my home away from home. All of my summer holidays I'd come down for a couple of weeks to visit Mavis. She'd be happy to know that I'd be living here as well, because she wanted me to move down here. She knew that I loved Melbourne. I'm currently working at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, and I'm working in the haematology bone marrow transplant ward. I definitely want to continue on the oncology pathway and go into research, and definitely breast cancer research. You know, it ties in really nicely with what Mavis did, and she influenced me with that, because breast cancer is one of those diseases that indirectly or directly affects everyone. To me, she was not just my grandma, but you know, she, as busy as she was, travelling all over the world, or you know, travelling all over Australia, going to many meetings and doing this and that. She never missed a birthday, she never missed a Christmas. You know, she was always there. She always had time for my brother and for me, and you know, she always made sure that you know, she was still our grandma and was always there. At our last Christmas that Mavis was alive, she gave me a brooch that I could wear at work as I was going into my first year out of uni as a registered nurse. So she wrote, "In this little bag is a brooch that is a symbol of being wise. You have chosen a very demanding job, and when things go wrong, as they do, take a look at the brooch and exchange a smile and be wise. We all learn from our experiences, even the ones we would rather forget."